People didn't go at noonday, the 6th hour. Why was she there at noon? That would have been the worst time to go because it's so hot in Israel. None of the women, that wasn't the common time for going to the well. She only would have gone there at that time because she wanted to be alone, because she didn't want to be around the other women, which we'll see why maybe later. But the other thing that really stuck out to me in this that I thought was so interesting is it says, Jesus, wearied as he was from his journey, was sitting beside the well. And then in verse 8, it says, for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy him food. And it's so interesting whenever you really think about this. And if you read all the commentaries on it, everyone's saying, it's such a cool moment because Jesus is just showing that he's human, right? He's tired, he's weary, he's got to take a seat back, he needs some water, he needs some food. His disciples are going in to get food. But if you keep reading this whole story, when you get towards the last part of it, I'm skipping ahead a lot, and we're gonna go back through the whole thing, but it's so interesting because when his disciples get back to him, the first thing the disciples say when they see him is, Rabbi, eat. And so why do I pull that out? Because I think it's really interesting that in this context, as John is writing the story, he wants us to know that Jesus was too tired, more tired than the rest of the disciples, that he had to sit by the well and wait as they went and got food to come back. And they must have been worried about him because he seemed so tired he had to stop, that the first thing they did when they got back is say, you need to eat something. So I say that to say, this is a moment where Jesus looks really weak. And like I said, everything I read about this saying that he was, because he's human. And maybe that's true, but as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I just kind of have a hard time believing that he was just that tired. I kind of have a hard time believing that he was so much more tired than the 12 other men that he had to sit back because he was that exhausted and they had to go and get him food because they were so worried about him. And clearly they really were. John talked about it. You need to eat. But let's not forget that even as a man, this is a man who fasted 40 days in the wilderness, tempted in every way, didn't eat the bread, didn't take the water, and went straight from 40 days of fasting out of the wilderness, empowered by the Holy Spirit to preach in the synagogue. I mean, he seems pretty strong to me, even in his humanity. This is a man who was whipped 39 times and then carried across up a hill. I mean, even in his humanity, he seems pretty strong. So I just have a hard time believing he was just so exhausted that he had to lay beside the well while 12 other men went and got food for him. But you know what I love is that they thought he was, because that's what he presented to them. Y'all go on. I gotta sit down. I gotta sit down by this well, man, I'm hungry. Y'all go get food. I'll just stay here for a minute. And that is just already the most beautiful thing in the whole world, that he made himself look weak to protect the woman that was coming. He didn't tell him, hey, there's this woman coming. She's a Samaritan woman. Unclean, unpure, a lot of stuff going on. I'm about to deal with that. I'm gonna speak to her. I'm gonna heal her. It's gonna be great. Can y'all just leave so I can have a moment? No, he didn't. He protected her completely. I'm tired. I'm gonna stay back for a minute. Can you guys go? And you know what he was doing? He was getting them out of the way.